Hello everyone. Let's jump into XRP, because what Dennis Angel just shared is absolutely insane. The XRP Ledger smart contract feature is now available for developers to explore and test on AlphaNet, a dedicated development network. This groundbreaking implementation brings native Layer 1 smart contract capabilities to the XRP Ledger, combining the familiar design patterns of EVM-style contracts with the power of the XRP Ledger's native features and transactions. Okay, so here's what's crazy. This was literally the missing puzzle piece for XRP. Smart contracts just weren't there. But now, we've got the EVM sidechain up and running, developers are building like crazy, and the XRP Ledger is about to become a magnet for projects. All that utility and value? It's going to snowball from here. If XRP repeats the 2017-2018 run, we will have a 1,700 XRP, $1,697.27 to be exact. Everyone's obsessed with comparing this to the 2017-2018 run. But will history actually repeat itself? I'm going to be real with you. I don't think so. Could XRP pump to some wild numbers? Absolutely. $50 is realistic. Maybe we even crack $100 or beyond. But $1,700? Who's got a crystal ball for that? I'm just not convinced. And there's another layer to this. Where do we actually stand when you compare it to the 2017-2018 rally? Are we sitting at the launch pad, or did we already rocket halfway up that monster green candle? Because your answer to that completely shifts the outcome. Plenty of analysts are arguing we're already at the midpoint, meaning those jaw-dropping gains from back then aren't on the table anymore. But let me take you back. During that legendary run, the maximum price target anyone believed in was a measly 25 cents, and XRP absolutely shattered expectations by soaring past $3, climbing from barely a fraction of a penny all the way to $3.84. So I'm not going to sit here and say it's completely off the table. I just think the odds are against it. How sure are you that holding 5,000 XRP will make you millionaires in 2026? All right, let's address this. This ties right back into that whole you've got to own exactly this amount of XRP mindset. And I drill this into you every time. Invest whatever amount works for your wallet. Simple as that. All right, let me give you a completely fresh take on this. I'm not throwing out specific numbers here, but do the math with me real quick. If you're sitting on 5,000 XRP and want that $1 million payday by 2026, you need XRP at $200. Is that crazy talk? Here's where I stand. It could totally happen if these ETF inflows absolutely explode past everyone's predictions. Think about everything lining up at once. The Clarity Act finally dropping, big institutions piling in, and actual use cases starting to move the needle on price. Now, $50 to $100? That's not even a stretch in my mind. We could see that this cycle, and if there's going to be a peak, my money's on sometime around early 2026. I keep hearing this narrative that since everything got delayed and stretched out, XRP is going to keep pumping straight through next year. But let's be real, that's pure speculation. Same way nobody can promise we're just going to copy-paste what happened in 2017 and 2018. I'm bringing this up because my feed is flooded with people convinced we're in an exact replay of 2017 to 2018. And yeah, the charts have that familiar vibe right now, but matching patterns doesn't mean we're locked into the same ending. There's an analyst out there with this wild theory about the real builders behind the XRP ledger and why Ripple's heading toward the top spot. Their angle? The government created the XRP ledger. My take is maybe it was people with government backgrounds who built it. I actually believe David Schwartz was one of the real minds behind Bitcoin, part of that 4-person Satoshi team. After that, they pivoted and created the XRP ledger, and Brad Garlinghouse has pretty much said as much. Listen to this.
I will correct one thing right out of the gates. Ripple did not actually issue XRP. The XRP ledger is an open source, decentralized technology, not dissimilar than Bitcoin. And some of the creators of the XRP ledger actually had been early engineers that worked on Bitcoin, and they saw some of the scalability problems that Bitcoin was likely to have, the speed, both from an energy consumption, cost, some of the other problems, and they wanted to build a better digital asset to solve some of these problems.
They built a better Bitcoin. So personally, I don't buy into the theory that the US government created the XRP ledger. Now, did some ex-government folks have a hand in it? Yeah, probably. Let me tell you what really matters about XRP, though. It's tackling every single issue Bitcoin had. Bitcoin? That was basically the prototype, the beta version. Don Kwok from EasyA nailed this perfectly. In crypto, I find most people either only care about token price, aka when Moon 2, the tech and developers. Very few care about both, but to succeed in crypto, you need to understand both. You need to focus on token price because price dictates sentiment. No developer wants to build on a blockchain with a cratering token price. And you need to focus on developers because they build the utility. You also need to understand the tech so you can see the full potential of what can be built. And that's why they focus on both over there at EasyA. This is so accurate, it hurts. I keep seeing the same question pop up everywhere. Why did XRP tank today? People are obsessed with watching that price ticker go up and down. But guys, step back for a second. If you really want to predict where XRP is headed, you need to grasp what it was actually designed for. XRP wasn't made to sit in your wallet. It was engineered to become the world's bridge currency. It can bridge literally anything that holds value. We're talking tokenized assets, fiat currencies, central bank digital currencies, stable coins, whatever you've got. XRP was purpose-built to bridge all of it. Crypto researchers Smoke shared a Ripple statement. We have been aligned with ISO 20022 from day one. Now here's where it gets interesting. There's this whole crowd of people going around saying ISO is basically overhyped. They're like, oh, it's not going to move the needle for these cryptos at all. But wait a minute. If ISO is so meaningless, why did Ripple make it a priority to get ISO compliant right out of the gate? That's day one stuff for them. Something doesn't match up here, right? Let me break this down for you. Listen to this.
High care. In today's payment world, the standards are really different around the world. So if you're using the SWIFT system or TIPS in Europe or Fed in US, you follow a different protocol. In addition, the data that you can transfer, the richness of that data is really limited. So what you get is a bunch of closed networks that don't speak to each other and unstructured data that's opaque. So there's a lot of manual intervention and ultimately a really poor payment experience. With ISO 20022, these problems will be solved. So ISO 20022 is a global standard for financial information exchange. This enables interoperability between different systems, straight-through processing of payments, and rich data transfer. And it'll also foster competition because it's open and flexible. At Ripple, we've been aligned with ISO 20022 from day one. We've always recognized that this is the direction of payments and it'll be better for everyone. And we were really a first mover on that front. We've also joined the standard body to help contribute to how payments will shape in the future. Going back to your point around security, Ripple's also really committed to the highest standards in safety, privacy, and security. And a testament to this is that we have our SOC 2 certification. For those not very familiar with SOC 2 reports give really valuable information about an organization's security capabilities. So each of their customers and users can have confidence in that service, which means that anyone using Ripple's solution knows that we adhere to the most modern security and privacy standards. And in line with that, we've also received our SOC 2 Type 2 report. So not only do we have the policies and processes in place around various criteria related to security, availability, and the integrity of the system, but also that we've been doing so consistently for a period of time.
Okay, so listen to what she's dropping here. This is massive. We all get that ISO 20022 is tied to payments, yeah? And Ripple's whole game? Moving money across borders. But hold on. She's throwing security into the mix too. What does everybody really care about at the end of the day? Speed, affordability, and knowing your stuff is protected. That's the holy trinity. Now here's where it gets interesting. Ripple jumped on the ISO bandwagon from day one. They weren't waiting around to see what happens. What does this mean for us? Value is about to flow into these digital assets, and we're not talking just XRP here. So HBAR, all in, drops this gem. ISO 2022 is happening. It's just days away. Huge for crypto holders. And he lays out the whole picture. The really cool part? He's shining a spotlight on every ISO cryptocurrency out there. not putting all his eggs in one basket. Look at this lineup we're dealing with. XRP and XLM already focused on cross-border payments and banking corridors. ADA, major platform with ambitions for financial infrastructure, smart contracts, plus staking. HBAR, enterprise-grade ledger governance model targeted at institutions and payments. Algo, scalable, low-fee chain with DeFi and payment ambitions. QNT, interoperability layer, quant over ledger key. When industry seems systems need bridges. XDC, hybrid blockchain targeting trade, finance, corporate bank use cases. IOTA, data and value flows in Internet of Things. A machine economy fits real-time payments narrative. Here's my take. IOTA's about to explode once AI and Industry 4.0 really get rolling. XDC, watch it dominate the digital trade arena. QNT's basically going to be the glue, the connector for everything in this new financial ecosystem. And Algo? Man, it's got such solid fundamentals with room to grow in every direction. You know what's wild about HBAR? It's positioned perfectly for the AI boom. And when you compare how HBAR and Ripple have grown, they're practically twins. Both were struggling hard, right? Then suddenly they're expanding like crazy through the entire bear market while everyone else is getting crushed. Now let me tell you about ADA's journey. At first, I wasn't really sold on it. Then Charles Hoskinson disappears for like 2 weeks, right? Comes back, refreshed, and suddenly everything around ADA just flips completely. Now the guy's out there building bridges with Ripple and pretty much anyone relevant in the ecosystem. Strategic moves all around. Now, XRP and XLM, these two have always had their lanes. XRP handles the institutional side, bank-to-bank transactions. XLM's for the everyday person, sending money home, remittances, that whole thing. But here's my perspective. When XRP takes off to those astronomical numbers people keep predicting, XLM's going to follow suit. They're linked at the hip. This pattern's repeated itself so many times, it's hard to ignore. So what are people predicting this cycle? If we're mirroring 2017, 2018, and XRP somehow reaches $1,700, then XLM could blast through $500 if that reality unfolds. But look, and this is critical, everything's just speculation and theory until it actually materializes in front of us. Listen, people love to doubt things, right? They're sitting there going, nah, that'll never happen, not a chance. And then what? It happens anyway. XRP has pulled this exact move on doubters more times than I can count. Let me take you back to December 2020, when Ripple got slapped with that SEC lawsuit. The whole community freaked out. Everyone declared it dead. XRP is done for. So what did most people do? They dumped everything they had. But me, I saw an opportunity and loaded up even more. Here's my strategy. Whenever Gary Gensler pointed at something and yelled security, I'd jump in and grab that coin. The best crypto for higher returns. Guess what made my shopping list? XRP did. The institutional catalyst awakening. Pull up that chart yourself. Look at those gains staring back at you. It blows my mind that traders are still overlooking this thing. This chart is hands down the strongest in the entire crypto space. You've got these huge candles lined up like dominoes ready to cascade. You need to get in position. While there's still time, right now you're ahead of the game, but that window closes when big money walks through the door. Once those institutions make their move, the opportunity evaporates. So in the meantime, don't lose your cool, keep that optimism alive. All right, I'm signing off for tonight. Really appreciate you being here and watching this. I'll catch you on the next upload.